My dad's Polish Italian and my mom's Mexican.
Yeah, I had some Polish friends growing up, and it sounded Polish. So their last name was Balcerek.
Oh, okay, yeah, I
Balcerek.
could definitely see that too.
We used to make fun of them because it's called like Balserac. We used to call him Balsack.
Poor kids, man. Kids are just brutal to each other. We were so mean to each other growing up. Why?
I mean, my name used to get made fun of too, Thomas Malpass.
Wha-
People used to be like, "There's ass in your name." Like, okay.
Kids are brutal.
But anyways, Lucy, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on Unwritten Podcasts about purpose, passion, and living a peaceful life. My first question to you is, who the heck is Lucie Ptaznik? Why are you so fascinated with horses? And how are you going to impact 1 million people?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited and so grateful to be a part of this. Um, who am I? I feel like that's a pretty loaded question. Who are you? I feel like I'm I'm a creator. I'm focused, I'm intentional, I am powerful, I'm positive, I'm so positive, I'm unstoppable. Um, and horses have pretty much been my passion since ever since I can remember. Ever since I was a very small child, probably since before I could talk, I've been obsessed with horses. And so from a very early age, I would beg my dad, "Dad, please buy me a horse, please." But the thing was is I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit with two blue collar parents. My mom, for example, she had two factory jobs. So it was very much so out of the realm of possibilities to think that purchasing, let alone maintaining a horse was even a question. So it wasn't long before I decided I had to take matters into my own hands. And the day that I turned 16 was the same day that I got my driver's license and the same day that I put my ad on Craigslist saying, "I will ride your horse for free." And I eventually had all of these like Yahoos calling me with their unbroke green broke horses that hadn't been touched or ridden in 5 to 10 years. So here I am, like super innocent, but super happy, just driving all over riding these people's horses, getting bucked off, thrown off, flipped over on top of all the things because here I was, I thought I knew how to ride, but I quickly learned that there was a whole world that I needed to learn. But it was one of those failing forward things. You live and you learn from your mistakes. And I never gave up. I just relentlessly pursued this passion of mine. It didn't matter how many times I flew off or ate dirt. I wasn't going to give up, and I was just the happiest thing to crawl right back on top of the saddle and just give it another go. And so eventually, fast forward a couple years, now I was able to build and scale a seven-figure business buying, training, and selling horses all over the country. And I accidentally opened one of Michigan's largest public trail riding companies. And so I don't say that to say like, oh, hey, look at me, look what I've done. It's more of one of my biggest things is to lead and inspire by example. And one of the things that I've learned is that you we essentially we live in a vibrational universe and you can be, do, have anything that you can imagine. Anything that the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And so I love empowering people and really teaching them all about quantum physics and how to leverage the laws of the universe, just like I did. If there's one thing that I live my life by, it's lead and inspire by example. I don't like to just talk, I like to walk the walk. And so if I'm talking about something, it's because I've done it, I've lived it, I've experienced it. And therefore, now I'm so excited about this that I want to share these gifts or these little nuggets of wisdom with everybody just so that way they can also step into their greatness and that they can pursue their dreams. Everything that I've done has kind of unfolded very naturally, very organically, just because I followed my passion. And so, therefore, I just want to tell everybody that if you can find whatever it is, your talent or your skill set, and exploit it in the service of others, not only are you going to find true fulfillment, but you're also going to be met with unprecedented success and abundance. So that's what my mission is now to serve and give back and positively impact 1 million people and hopefully inspire them to start following their dreams. Step outside of your comfort zone and believe in yourself. Take a chance on yourself.
Well, I think we share the same mission. I also want to, my like lavish goal with this podcast is to have 1 million downloads a month. That's like my 10-year, like in 10 years, that's my 10-year goal.
I love that
Um,
for you. See that for
so,
you.
so you're helping me do that.
Whoop, whoop.
um, but do you think, do you think you were a horse in your past life?
Um, okay, so everyone has, like, different thoughts or, like, feelings about, like, do we
Yeah.
even
I mean, you have like a luscious mane going
Thank you.
on. Like your hair's
I
it's
definitely
nice.
got blessed in the hair department, thank you, Jesus. Um, I kind of I don't really know what to think about the past life thing. If I had to bet money, I would certainly say that we all have, like, many past lives and that we all choose to come here and that, like, you choose to come here, you choose to come you were born in the United States, if you were born in Michigan, you were born in 1991, and, like, to your specific parents, I believe that everything is a choice. We choose to come here, we choose when we come here, we choose who our parents are, and I believe that we probably had hundreds, if not thousands of lifetimes before this. So hard to say. Like I'm sure I was a little bit of everything, but I think at one point there was probably some Indian in there. I remember. Are you familiar with Reiki?
I'm not entirely, I know it's like some sort of energy
Yeah,
healing
exactly.
thing.
It's a high vibrational healing energy. It's like a
Yeah.
smart energy, and you can tune your hands to it and help people with ailments that they're experiencing physically, mentally, emotionally. And I remember when I was with my Reiki master doing my attunement to Reiki, she looked at me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Lucy, I just saw like the war paint on your face, and you were an Indian." And I don't know. It's what she told me, but could it be true? Possibly. Was I an Indian in my past life? Who knows? I love horseback riding and I love galloping horses bareback with no saddle and the wind blowing through my hair. So could that have been true? Who knows? Probably. I'm open to the idea, right?
No, I do wanna learn how to ride a horse one day. I think you get this, like, sense of freedom when you learn how to
Oh,
ride it.
absolutely. It's so liberating and you just connect with the horse. Have you seen the movie Avatar?
Um, the first one, the blue
Yes, the
people?
Blue People movie. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
love that movie because it's got so many parallels to the real world in the sense that like we're all divinely connected and that you can sit on these animals and like you take like a little length of your hair and kind of like connect it with them and you become one. And I really feel like that's what horseback riding truly is. Like you're communicating with the horse, you're controlling the horse. They're receiving your energy and you're responding from theirs. And it's like this beautiful dance, but it's kind of like you said, it's very liberating, it's freeing. So I know there's some people out there that horses just aren't their thing, or they're just afraid of them or scared, and they're like, "No, thank you," and that's okay. But I feel like horseback riding is one of those things that, like, when you're bored with the horse bug, good night, Irene, because you're just obsessed with it. And just like Napoleon Hill says, desire is the starting point for all achievement. And so if you have that burning desire inside of you and you can just narrow in and focus on it, you're bound to be met with success and abundance.
Do you like that book, Think and
I
Grow
sure
Rich?
do.
What are your thoughts on the chapter about transmutation?
Of the sexual energy.
Yeah.
That's so funny. You're the second person to ask me about that. I think it was written in, as you know, it was written like 100 years ago. And I think what it was trying to say, and I could totally be wrong, but it is that we all, we all have like a sexual desire. And it was really, I feel like it was really written for guys at the time because it doesn't say men and women, it doesn't say people, it just says men every single time it's talking, it says men. And so I feel like it's kind of like when guys have that like innate desire, that passion, instead of chasing females, learn how to channel that energy and that focus and that intention towards pursuing your passion. And that way you're not distracted by pursuits of the flesh per se.
That's exactly what I got from it as well. It's it's kind of like out there when you first read it, but it makes sense. It's like instead of it's like think about opportunity cost and time cost. It's like if you how often do you put your energy towards all these external sexual desires, whether it be porn, whether it be trying to hit on a girl at the gym, whether it be breaking your neck when a beautiful woman passes you by. Like all these desires can be not necessarily ignored, but transformed because it is a type of energy,
Yeah,
and that when you transform that energy, it could be applied to something more meaningful. Not that sex isn't meaningful. It is, I think, to when you have a like long-term intimate partner. That's just my values. But I think when you apply it to the external pursuits, you can get lost. And
absolutely.
so
And
yeah,
you drift. Have you read the Outrooting the Devil book?
I
Oh my
haven't.
god, that is such a good one. Like, it's incredible because it's like it's like he has a conversation with the devil. And but it's like a very like it's like a I don't know, I'm lost for the word, but it's like a really like normal, good, flowing conversation where the devil, if you will, just kind of breaks down a lot of things and he's like one of one of the biggest flaws in humans is drifting, and which is essentially like when you don't have definiteness of purpose and you allow yourself to drift, you allow yourself to be distracted, you lose focus, you start going down this path, you start going down this path, and then all of a sudden there's so many paths that you don't even have a defined path, you don't have definiteness of purpose. So I thought that was really cool how they talk about in that book, you never want to drift. You want to stay focused. You want to stay in alignment with your burning desire and pursue that with all of your energy, all of your attention, and all of your focus.
Yeah, it's like that saying, "You're dancing with the devil."
Yeah,
That's what that reminds me of. So I want to know how or where do you think this like deep rooted conviction and belief in yourself and relentlessness comes from?
I would say from a lot of just, I put in the work, I've done the reps. I I would say that I've always been a pretty I've always been like a happy, positive, driven person for the most part. But like anybody, I mean, we all have that voice in our head, and we have, what do they say, 60 to 70,000 thoughts are what every single person thinks on average. And I think that they say 90% of all of the thoughts that we think are usually negative. And so if we know that our thoughts create our reality, then what kind of reality are we creating? 90% of them are negative, right? So it's all about being really intentional with what, just everything from who we're spending time with to the thoughts that we're thinking, the words that we're speaking, conversations that we're having, what we're consuming not only like how we're feeding ourselves nutritionally, what we're drinking, but also like what we're consuming content wise. Like, are you spending all your time watching porn, or are you also, are you watching,
Or this
or
podcast.
yeah, or the news, like, oh my gosh, the news is such I really I feel like the news is just low vibrational poison. It's based on scarcity,
I agree.
lack, and fear. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I try my parents are kind of old school in the sense that they love watching the news, and like the other day I'm at my parents' house, they invited me over for dinner, they turned the TV on, they're watching the news, and I'm like, "Mom, why are you watching the news?" Like, it was, like, almost, like, immediately she turned it on, I could feel, like, how it was just all about, like, fear and scarcity and lack, and I'm like, "This does not serve you, so place your focus, your energy, and attention on this." And then she's just like, "Well, sweetheart, it's a reality. It's reality. It's really important to know what's going on." And I'm like, "Mom, don't you know what I teach?" I'm like, "Reality is subjective. Reality is malleable. It's pliable. It's suggestible. It's what you make it." I'm like, "You are the powerful creator of your reality based on what you choose to focus on. And if you're allowing yourself to focus on these low vibrational fear based things like the news, I'm like, you're going to continue to create that reality." So it's up to you. Do you want to be a deliberate creator where you're living intentionally and you're writing out your intentions and you're journeying your gratitudes and you're spending the time meditating and visualizing what you want? I'm like, or are you going to be a default creator? Are you going to play the victim? Are you going to give your power away by focusing on things outside of you, external circumstances that you can't control, that you're going to allow how those things to dictate how you feel internally? Like, you cannot allow things from your external world to dictate how you feel internally. That's living from the outside in. And that's not only is it destructive, but it's not productive, it's not conducive, it's not going to take you to where you want to be. You're never going to make progress and conquer your dreams like that. You have to learn how to live from the inside out. You have to essentially deny your five senses um, what they're experiencing, and choose to only see reality as you'd like to experience it. It's kind of like Steve Jobs. Everybody thought he was crazy, but guess what? He was genius. He was brilliant. Why? Because he didn't let what people said was out of the realm of possibilities or crazy thinking. He was just like, no, this is the reality that I want to create. I don't care what you say is possible or is not possible. This is what I wish to create, wish to build, wish to experience. And therefore, I'm going to put all of my energy, focus, and attention on that thing until it manifested into physical form. There you go.
There you have it. No, I think people turn the news on as like background content, like oh, I just have to have it always on in the background. You never know. You never know. It's just like, I might need to watch it or something. Um, but yeah, that's the issue, right? It's like people think this is reality, but you create
Yeah.
reality. It's like you're not told necessarily like this is your reality. That's I think in my opinion that's like conforming. Like you're conforming to like you were saying the
Yeah.
external. And it's like You don't have to conform to the external. You don't have to be told what to do all the time and just listen and keep your head down and shut up. Like it's like I don't know. I think rules are good, but I think they're meant to be questioned over time. And that's how we learn. Like I don't want to say like we're kind of playing with it right now like with the politics, but I'm not like big in the politics.
Same.
But I know we're playing with the amendments right now. Um I'm not an expert. I don't know what's going on, but I just Twitter, I guess that's another form of woke news.
Did you
um
hear did you watch the Elon Musk Joe Rogan interview and why Elon bought.
yeah, I watched all of every time Elon Musk is on a podcast, like Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman. I watched his recent interview with a news reporter about um he was like, oh, it was like this black news reporter, some big news reporter, and he was like, oh, like why are you promoting hate speech on Twitter? And he's like, I'm not promoting it. We're not running ads and like making it known. It's like that's just what somebody posted and it's not illegal, so we're not gonna censor it. And he was like, but you're promoting it because it's still on your platform. And I'm like, he was like, if it's not illegal, it's free speech. Like you're free to speak even if it's hateful, but it's not illegal. It's like I don't know, it's like war and death and serial killers. Like we can't stop it all, but it still happens in the world. And I think that's my point of view on it. It's like in regards to free speech, like people are gonna say what they want to say, and it's not okay, obviously, but we also can't stop it. It's like that's what people want, but it's just life.
Right, and I thought that it was really interesting when he said, "Why did you buy Twitter?" Because he was like, it was being used as an arm of the government to essentially brainwash people, um, and it was like only promoting like far left sentiment, and everything that was like in the middle or even a little bit right was it was all being like censored or silenced. And so I don't know, I thought that like the whole and he basically went on to say like how San Francisco was being brainwashed. He goes to San Francisco, and he's like, if you look at San Francisco and you see like the people are walking around, like there's so many homeless people, there's so much crime, unemployment's so high, and people are walking around like zombies. That he like that is the brain disease that they're trying to but like a platform like Twitter was essentially trying to push on the whole entire country. So he's like, even though it costed me, I don't remember, it was millions or billions of dollars, but it was like some extraordinarily large amount of money.
It was like it was like I think he had to get other investments and sell like a bunch of his own like Tesla stock. It was like I think it was like 30 to 50
Yeah, it
billion.
was like insane. But he said he did it because he wanted to basically save civilization and he wanted to keep the country safe and sovereign. So I thought like I don't I didn't know a whole lot about Elon before, but after watching that interview, it seemed like he had a very noble cause and that he's got his head screwed on the right way. It seems like his intentions are pure. So I don't know. I don't know enough about the situation, or really even enough about him to make a definitive decision, educated guess. But from viewing that interview, it seems like he could go gallon on this.
Yeah, I'd support him despite all the feedback he gets. I mean, you're gonna get feedback if you're like one of the wealthiest people on the
Yeah,
planet trying to do crazy world changing stuff.
You're never gonna make anybody happy ever in
Right.
life, no matter what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always gonna be people on the opposite side. I mean, I always tell people, like, no matter who you are, like, Jesus had somebody people that's why he was crucified, right?
That's right, you know, if
So,
you're not ruffling some feathers, if you're not upsetting some people, that means you're not doing it right. You gotta
yeah, you're old. It doesn't matter, like, if your intentions are pure and all you want is, like, peace and happiness and supporting the world in a net positive way, there's always gonna be that yin and yang. There's always gonna be somebody to push against.
yeah, because if we always do things the way that we've always done them, then how are we supposed to experience progress? We need some change agents and some radical thinkers and some big dreamers to really move the needle in the right direction. But so many people, that's one of the things that I teach in my program is that it's a 16-week program on how to essentially rewire your subconscious mind and transform your identity to start taking massive action towards your goals. But essentially, we're all conditioned, right? Whether it's from our past or our parents or whatever traumas that we've experienced throughout our lives, we're all conditioned. And what that means is that we are so used to living in what could we could call it lower vibrational states, whether that's worry or overwhelm or anxiety or fear. And you stack that up over days, weeks, months, years. That next thing you know, people are identifying as like, I'm just a worried person or I'm just an anxious person or whatever it is. And because a lot of people don't practice what it feels like to feel abundant, to feel free, to feel joy, to feel bliss, to feel peace. So that's why I'm a huge advocate of meditation in the sense of like every single day I wake up, I meditate. Why? Because it's you intentionally raising your vibration, quieting your mind, releasing everything that's negative. You release all of the worry, all of the fear, all of the self doubt, and you just give it away. And then it allows your vibration to rise because you live in this vibrational universe, this attraction based universe where you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So, therefore, it's so important for us. If you want more love, give more love. If you want more money, give more money. You want more things to be grateful for, pour out gratitude wherever you go. And so, that's when I like to teach people different ways to essentially become very aware of the state that they're operating in. Because so many people, again, they're conditioned to these lower vibrational emotions. It's like they forgot what feeling amazing feels like. They forgot what a peak emotional state is. And it's just like you, if decisions are what shape your destiny, you are where you are today based on every decision you've made up until this point. That means two things. One, you're only one decision away from completely changing your life, which is super exciting. But then the other side of that is that if you can if decisions shape your destiny, what shapes your decisions? What influences your decisions? It's your energetic state. It's how you're feeling emotionally. And therefore, if you're in a peak state where you feel on top of the world and energized and supercharged and invincible, you can conquer anything, you're going to be making very different decisions than if you are feeling for guilt or depression or fear or sadness. So, therefore, if you want to start to make big leaps and bounds towards your goals, you're going to have to set yourself up for success. And that means being able to identify what energetic or emotional state that you're in. And then if you're operating out of alignment, if you're not in a peak state, therefore, what are the tools and techniques that you can start implementing today to get you there? So that's what I do. I help people access these peak states and then maintain them through different techniques, whether it's meditation or journaling or visualization, all of these things that might sound a little bit like pie in the sky, a little bit on the woohoo side. But if you talk to some of the most The most successful people in the world will tell you that if you are able to control your emotional state, then I mean, that's how you respond. Life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond. So if you're in control of how you're receiving and responding to whatever life throws at you, you're going to be much more well suited to take on life, and you're just going to be prepared emotionally, energetically. It's kind of cool how it all comes together.
100%. Uh, no, what I thought there is people that try to bring you down, you have a decision to make in those moments. You could decide to fuel that, like they're like the spark that tries to bring you down to their level, whether it be toxic relationships, trolls online, whatever, ignorant coworker, whatever tries to bring you down, or even like accidental things like an accident or a loss. You have a choice to either fuel it or like something I've been telling myself lately, a mantra I've been telling myself. It's an old Navy mantra, although I didn't hear it a lot when I was in the Navy, but it was, "You are the rising tide that lifts all
Oh, I
ships."
love that.
So it's like if yeah, like if all everyone is low and trying to bring you down, well, I'm the rising tide, so how that's
Yeah.
contradicting. So it's like you kind of force yourself to, well, I force myself by telling myself that it's contradicting. So it's like I can't, like I physically, mentally can't be on your level because I am the rising tide.
Exactly. And you're not gonna let anything slow you down or lower your vibe. I like to say, like, I like to say, like, I'm a lighthouse and I shine so bright that I leave each person in place better than I found it. I leave each person with the impression of increase. Everybody feels better after having crossed my path. And so I feel like energy is one of the highest forms of currency that we have, and energy is contagious. So the most important thing that you can do is realize how your energy is being perceived, and how you're affecting other people. Because if you're able to inspire somebody or empower somebody or breathe belief into somebody, you want to have positively impact that person and made their life better. And if we're able to, as like I like to say, like, dear God, fill me up with so much unconditional love that wherever I go, I just spill out love wherever I go, leaving each person feels better than I found it. So it's kind of like you can sprinkle some love over here and sprinkle some love over here. Then you just, I feel like that's like also like raising the tide, like you said, just raising the energetic vibration wherever you go. You're raising that. You walk into a room and you light it up. That and like people just feel good in your presence. I remember I was at the airport one time and I was just standing in line to board the plane. And as I was standing there, there was the gentleman in front of me. And he like looked forward at me. He's like, "You are so peaceful." He's like, "I don't know what it is, but just standing next to you, I just feel so I just feel so at peace." And I'm like, "Oh wow, that's beautiful." And then the same thing happened to me when I went to the bank. I forgot I had to close out an account, or I had to do something at the bank, and I was working with a teller, and the lady was like doing her thing, and I was just like patiently like gave her what she needed, da 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 da, let her do her thing, and she's just like, "You're so peaceful," and I was like, "Oh, thanks." So now like I feel like when people give me compliments like that energetically, like I'm really able to receive them because I feel like I do the work and I try to show up very intentionally, um, by doing things like meditating and raising my vibration and and journaling and writing down affirmations. So when I write down I am peace and harmony, I am ease and flow, I am wealth, abundance, and prosperity, and like these things just flow to me. And then if I embody the energy of them, then I just get to experience them in the physical manifested form.
Yeah, you exude
Yeah.
it. You exude it and you practice self-love because you have to practice self-love and compassion or else you won't have it to sprinkle on
Yes.
people.
You
Um,
Dr. Wayne Dyer says you can't give what you don't have. And so that's why
Facts.
self-love is like the secret ingredient. Like if he talks about oranges, he's like, if you want to give somebody a dozen oranges, that means you have to have a dozen oranges to give them. So if you want to give somebody love, you also have to have love.
Yeah, and it works the other way too. If you don't have hate,
And so
you don't have hate
exactly,
to give.
1,000%. And so he talks about so Dr. Dyer talks about, like, if you take an orange and you put the pressure on the orange and you squeeze the orange, what's gonna come out? Apple juice? No, apple juice isn't gonna come out of the orange because that's not what's inside of the orange. Orange juice is gonna come out because that's what's inside of the orange. So when life puts the pressure on you and life squeezes you and you feel all the weight of the world on your shoulders and outside circumstances happen and things come up and life gets rough, like what's coming out of you is fear showing up, is anger, animosity, frustration, overwhelm. What do you harbor inside of yourself? Like you said, like if you're harboring hate, then therefore that hate's gonna come out. But if you don't have any anger, if you don't have any hate, if you don't have any fear, then guess what? When the pressure's on, we're just gonna you're gonna glide through life. You're gonna be experiencing faith and belief and trust because you believe in yourself and you have faith in God and you trust the process. And therefore you're able to enjoy each step of the journey exactly as it unfolds because you know that God's got your back and He will and always has provided abundantly for every one of your wants, needs, and desires. And as soon as you embrace some of these affirmations or these beliefs and start taking them on, then you really start very intentionally transforming your reality. At the end of the day, a belief is nothing more than a thought that you keep thinking. So, therefore, I mean, how many thoughts do we have that we think that don't serve us? How many beliefs have we picked up along the way? And so that's why it's like we have the power in any given moment to change our beliefs, to change our stories. And when we change our beliefs and rewrite our stories, we're rewriting a new narrative for our lives. That's why I like to say we're only one decision away from a completely different life. If I would have never left my corporate job to pursue my passion and sell horses, my life would look radically different than it does today. So if there was one thing that I can share with everybody. It's just take that chance on yourself, take that leap of faith, bet on yourself, and invest in yourself because you are going to have the highest ROI when you learn and you grow and you invest in your education. Whew, ROI is infinite, baby.
You have this like very I don't want to say like childish, like youthful
It's like
energy.
I like to call it childlike
Like
joy.
that's what you call it?
If I had to put words on it, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this youthful energy. Um but my next question was how do you navigate on the days that you get caught up or you have a lot on your plate or you didn't do your morning routine or ritual but you still have a lot to do and like how do you navigate that and then how do we start to let go of these 90%. I don't think it's 90% negative thoughts. I think it's 90% of the same thoughts we had yesterday and I don't and they can be
Yeah,
negative or
that's true
positive.
too.
How do we start letting go of that and replacing them with good
Okay,
thoughts?
so there was a lot there, but I'm gonna start at the beginning. So I feel like My morning meditation is my non-negotiable. As soon as I wake up, I open my eyes, and the first thought in my head is like, "Dear God, thank you for this. Thank you for this new day. Thank you for this new morning. Thank you for this fresh start." And when I say like, use me, that like allow me to serve, like work through me, speak through me, and then I'll immediately go into my meditation from there. And so there have been days where my alarm didn't go off and I woke up late and I was supposed to be at this appointment 30 minutes ago. And I'm like, oh my God. Yes, like that happens to all of us. And so, um, what I have like, and there have been days where like I was like, oh my God, I'm just gonna throw some clothes on, get in the car and rush out. And then next thing you know, like I'm zooming through my day and I didn't do my morning routine. And what I have come to learn is that it does not serve, like, even if I wake up late, take the 10 minutes and meditate because I've done it. I've done it probably over a dozen times where I thought, like, okay, it's okay. Like, I'll meet the horse shopper and then I'll meditate afterwards. Like, no, don't, like, whatever you do, don't forget your meditation because it sounds crazy, but like, we are Dr. Mindira said that we are not we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And therefore, if we really like understood that we're all very divinely connected and that we have access to this divine life force at any given time. And we realized that we were able to call upon this force and really connect to it. Like how much better would we be? Not only like mentally, emotionally, but like physically, spiritually, financially. Like how would we be showing up differently in the world? And so when you take the time, like 10 minutes, it's not like if you can't gift yourself 10 minutes of peace, 10 minutes of just like feeling abundance and love and joy, then what kind of like take the time, make yourself a priority. And so again, what that's doing is that you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So when you put in the work and you be intentional about raising your vibration, anything that crosses your path for the rest of the day must be at this elevated vibration. Because what I've learned is that when you skip that step and you don't intentionally raise your vibration, then you're allowing other places, people, circumstances, things, you're inviting those things in that are operating at a lower vibration. So that might be like, you leave the house and then boom, you get caught in traffic or you get caught by the train and then you're waiting 15 minutes for a train while you're just stuck there. Or you show up to your appointment and you forgot your laptop, which you needed for the presentation for your appointment. And you're like, oh my God, now I have to drive 30 minutes back home, 30 minutes. The whole thing is just messed up. So, and had you taken the 10 extra minutes, you would have never experienced whatever valley, whatever lower vibrational circumstance it is. So I would say set yourself up for success, be intentional, and even if you're running late, know that know that you run on divine timing and have faith in that and understand that like you're exactly where you're supposed to be and that if you take the 10 minutes to just be intentional and raise your vibration, like it's all going to work out better than you had planned before. To the point where like I remember like the Zumba is one of my absolute favorite things in the whole entire world. I love dancing Zumba. And I drive it's 15 minutes away from my house, like 50. So here I am, like, and I woke up, I want to say I woke up 15 minutes later or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, nope, Lucy, don't do it. Don't even be tempted to leave the house without meditating. So sure enough, I'm like, it'll work out. I will be perfect. So I took the extra 10 minutes to meditate. I drove to Zumba and I only got there 10 minutes late, but the cooperative components of the universe were collaborating on my behalf. And it just so turns out that the speaker system wasn't working. So the class got started like 12 minutes late. So I ended up being perfectly on time. So it all ended up working. So that's just like a mini example of how like things that like you more than like take the time because it's all going to work out better than you expected. Um, and then you had said that um, I think the second part of that was that 90% of our thoughts are, in fact, the same thoughts that we think today that we'll think tomorrow, and same thoughts that we thought yesterday are the thoughts that we're thinking today. And yes, that is also absolutely true. So it begs the question, if we know that our thoughts create our reality and we're thinking the same thoughts on repeat over and over again, then how is it that we're expecting our reality to change? How is it that we're expecting to have new experiences or elevated emotions when we're stuck in these patterns? And so when we take a step back and really analyze our life and we realize that our life is nothing more than a sequence of patterns, we are creatures of habit and we tend to do the same things day in and day out. And so we have these patterns of physiology, these patterns of how we're moving our body on a daily or weekly basis. We have these patterns of focus, what we're choosing to focus on, whether we're choosing to see the good and the negative and worry about things, or if we're choosing to see the beauty and silver lining and even the lessons learned in the difficult times. And then we also have patterns of language, patterns of how we're choosing to speak, not only the words that we're saying, but also the self talk that we're experiencing, as well as the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, the conversations that we're having. It's fun. It's always fun to go to like a dinner party and like there's like different groups of different people. And then you can kind of crowd surf the different conversations and you can step into this circle and listen to what these people are talking about. And these people might be talking about politics or something on the news or something like low vibrational. Oh my gosh, did you see this shooting or whatever it is? And then as soon as somebody starts talking about that, the other people that are in that same circle are going to offer similar experiences that are on the same vibrational frequency of that conversation. And so it's up to you if you want to choose to participate in that conversation. I would strongly recommend not participating in anything that doesn't uplift and inspire you because where your focus goes, your energy flows. And so if you're going to talk about if someone talks about the time that they got pulled over and the officer was a jerk, then the next person be like, "Oh yeah, I had another poor experience with an officer, and he was really rude to me too, and I got pulled over for this, and it was unfair, and I got da 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 da." And then all of a sudden, all these people are talking about their poor experiences with law enforcement, and then guess what? You're driving home, and poof, freaking, you get pulled over. Why? Because you were talking about it. So what you don't want to create, what you don't want to attract to you, remove your focus from it. So therefore, at the dinner party, find the people that are talking about things that they're excited about, things that they're creating, things like trips or vacations that they're looking forward to. Maybe something that they've recently accomplished that they've been working on that they're so excited and grateful. Look, those are the circles that you want to stand in because it's going to force you to get out of your habit and get out of your comfort zone and challenge you to start thinking differently. If you don't like your life, start thinking different habits. You don't like if you want a better quality of life, think better quality thoughts. And essentially that's what I love teaching people is becoming aware of the thoughts that they're thinking, the words that they're speaking, and the emotions that they're feeling because your thoughts, your words, and your emotions are what is going to very intentionally create the life that you're living, the life that you're experiencing. So I would say that awareness is key to all of this because we can't change what we're unaware of. And again, that's what meditation, the definition of meditation is to become aware of oneself. So when you start meditating, you start becoming aware of like, oh wait, a thought just popped into my mind. And then be like, oh wait, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of like, oh, I have to call the school and then I have to go to the doctor's appointment and then I have to pick up my kids. And then you go down a whole rabbit hole of things that you have to do. Recognize that thought as it pops into your head and then lovingly release it. And in the recognition and release of that thought, that's where you're growing as an individual because you're strengthening that muscle of awareness. And so then, as you're living your life and you're moving through your day, and something happens, whether it's someone cutting you off in traffic or somebody saying something to you that was unkind, remember that life is 10% of what happens and 90% of how you respond. So instead of falling into that reactive pattern of being upset or choosing to be offended, you can recognize that and you can say, oh, um, maybe that person cut me off because they're running late for their first job appointment, or maybe they're rushing to the hospital because their mom got hurt, or who knows, like we don't know. And again, the meaning that we assign to life is essentially what's going to the meaning we have assigned to life is everything. It's how we interpret the world. So if we're able to shift our interpretation to a more positive mindset, we're going to be living and experiencing a much friendlier, happy, more fulfilled world.
Exactly. um, I don't have much to add to that, but I did have thoughts on two things you said in that. The first one is how, like, you kind of choose what you want to, it kind of goes back to what we were saying. You choose what topics and energy you want more of, and when you see those different groups and talk those different talks, you kind of tend to go in circles with people and you just end up talking all about the same thing. How do we navigate the debatable topics? How do we navigate the topics that maybe are controversial, that need to be talked about, the taboo concepts that people want to talk about, um, the concepts that are disagreeable, like me and you, like somebody may be listening to this that are like, what are they, this woo woo crap? Like, how do we like start to like, because it's inevitable. It's like life will happen to you. Like we were saying earlier, the yin and yang, like things will come up that you have to face in life. How do we navigate these debatable topics, debatable energies, disagreeing energy that comes our
Two
way?
things. I think the first thing, especially, well, like, there's a lot of things. When you're having to have difficult conversations or controversial conversations, I think, especially with relationships too, when you're in a committed, loving relationship and your partner is doing something that's like really upsetting you or bothering you, or you don't really want to tell them, but you have to, it's really important to operate from the heart, because when we're operating from the heart space instead of the head space, we are showing up differently. We're speaking differently. We're showing up, just our energetic being is different. The next thing is seek to understand instead of trying to be understood. So many people, whenever they're having a conversation, especially if it's politics, like they're not even listening to what the other person is saying, and they're getting their next phrase ready. They're getting their next arguments ready and queued up. And it's like, instead of trying to prove that you're right, try to understand the other person's perspective. And therefore, it's like we're all connected. We're all in this together. And so therefore, when you allow a space of allowing a space of understanding, um, you open yourself up to a whole new world of possibilities. So I think seeking to understand instead of always trying to be understood is huge in the world of communication. I think showing up from your heart instead of your head, people are going to feel that. It's going to resonate and they're not going to feel so defensive, which when they're speaking, which I feel like is going to be huge, because they feel, everybody at the end of the day, everybody just wants to be understood. Everyone wants to feel like they're understood, like you care about them. And so therefore, when you do that, you are you're connecting with them in a way that they weren't expecting you to. And so therefore, their message will be much more easily received by you. And therefore your message back to them when you respond to them will be much more welcomed and received by them. And then the last thing is that Dr. Wayne Dyer always said that we the best what we want to strive to do is have a mind that's open to everything and attached to nothing. And I feel like that's really important in whatever aspect of life we're exploring or experiencing, especially with difficult conversations. If you have the option to choose to be right or choose to be kind, always choose to be kind because it doesn't really matter who's right and who's wrong. And if you're open to everything, even if you don't necessarily know enough or if you don't necessarily agree, it's really incredible what saying something along the lines of, oh, I had never considered that perspective before. Maybe I'll think about that or maybe I'll consider that or that's a really interesting perspective. Just being open to the idea because again, at the end of the day, like a belief is just a thought that we keep thinking and we are not our thoughts. We are we are not our thoughts. And a lot of people think that we are our thoughts when it's like no, and every thought that we think is not necessarily true. There's plenty of thoughts that we think that it's like, where did that thought even come from? That's where in left field. But again, it comes back to this like awareness and understanding, like, wait, I don't like that thought. I don't like that belief. I'm not going to accept that. That's not going to be part of my reality. So whenever you're trying to navigate these difficult conversations, if you're able to just operate from the hard space, seek to understand, as well as just being open and attached to nothing, you're going to receive a lot more success in dealing with those things.
That's so good. You spoke a lot about, I think, going into these conversations with a certain intention, right? And then also when you really like have the intention to just listen, you don't get triggered by like it's common in these like political debates and blah blah blah. It just seems like like a mental fist fight at that point, and it's like you hear one thing and then that's all you heard. That you didn't hear any other thing they
Yeah,
said from that one point that you got triggered. They could have kept talking, but that one point you already, like you're saying, you got queued up for that one point they made, but the rest, everything else that they said was just
fell
like
on deaf ears.
you see red, like the bull, you see red and you don't even listen and it goes right through. And I think, like you said, also like letting go of that attachment. And I think that's part of the ego, right? Like you have to start letting go of that ego that wants to be right,
Yeah,
right? It's like you want to be right because that ego, and you have to start letting that crap go. And I like how you define meditation as pretty much just being aware, practicing awareness, like who you are, what you stand for. And I also think meditation, I've been studying a concept called impermanence.
yeah. What's that? I've never heard of
Um,
that.
impermanence. It's a Buddhist concept. It's not that crazy. It's literally just things come and go. Life comes and
Yeah,
goes. Um, life is impermanent. Nothing was the same as it was
yeah,
yesterday. So when you meditate, it things come and go. Your thoughts come and go. You're a new person today. You're a new person tomorrow. You weren't the same person yesterday. Everything changes, and that's impermanent. Nothing is
yeah.
permanent. The life you live right now is not gonna last forever.
Exactly.
Um, so it's about letting go and living in the moment. Because nothing is permanent, you might as well live your life in the moment,
I
right?
love that. Yeah, change is inevitable. If there's one constant of the universe, it's that everything is guaranteed to change and that nothing lasts forever. So I like to like really embrace that concept with so therefore, if you're experiencing something that brings you an immense amount of joy and happiness and fulfillment, really, like you said, live presently and cherish that thing, appreciate that thing, pour out gratitude for that thing, whether it's a person, place, experience, whatever it is, because it's not going to last forever. Even if it's a relationship, like eventually all of us have our time. So, and then on the flip side of that is that if you are going through a hardship, a difficulty, whatever kind of valley in your life, just know that it's a season and just let the seasons come and go, this too shall pass. So just stay positive and be relentless and know that bigger, better, brighter things are coming.
Lucy, I feel like we could talk forever about
Oh,
this
for
stuff,
sure.
honestly. Uh, like I have a lot more questions, but I feel like it would take like
Another couple
3
hours.
plus
Yeah.
hours to go. Yeah, like another podcast. Like I want to talk about your time with Tony Robbins. I want to talk about the universal laws. I want to talk about quantum physics and how that science is relates to our spirituality. But I'll have one question we go over before I lead into the closing statements and questions. What is one practical and simple mind hack that anyone can do anywhere, anytime, wherever they are to start releasing their limiting beliefs and start truly believing in themselves?
I would say something like quick, easy that people can utilize at any given time of their day would be create an affirmation, or you can call it an incantation, whatever you would like, and allow this incantation to be so powerful that it encompasses every area of your life in such a profoundly positive way that, like, for example, one of mine is I'm so grateful that God's avalanches of abundance cascade into every area of my life. And so when you say that over and over and over and over and over and over again, as you move through the day, you can set a timer and you can have whatever you can be like, I am so grateful that I experience peace and clarity and prosperity. Peace, clarity, and prosperity. um, every moment of every day. And so you set a timer every hour, and then every hour that dings, and then you think that thought. And reprogramming the subconscious mind is all about repetition. And so if you get really intentional, that is a quick tool and it'll allow you like, oh, how am I experiencing God's avalanche of abundance in my life right now? And then it'll cause you to like like, step into the now present moment and realize like, oh wow, like this is working out and this is working out and this is working out. And the more times that you're able to actually count your blessings and show appreciation, gratitude for them, the more blessings would show up. So I would say that would be like a quick tool that people can start using and implementing today is create an affirmation, whatever it is that's unique to you, and then write it down, plug it in, maybe write it down every single morning, and then put a timer on your phone every hour it dings. Remind yourself of that affirmation. And again, that's part of retraining your brain to break the patterns of focus and the patterns of thought that are ingrained into us. So that's like step one of retraining the subconscious mind.
Yeah, practice I do that's similar to that that people can start today. I've said it a lot in my previous podcast, but use every time you do get a limiting belief as a reminder to think the opposite.
Yeah.
So if you get like why am I doing this? I can't do this. Wait, if you're aware and you take a step back, what's the opposite of I can't do this?
If I can't, I must, baby. That's what Tony Robbins says, "If I can't, I must." And no, I totally agree with you, Thomas, that it's all about that awareness. So many people don't realize, even I've been guilty of thinking thoughts that, like, and I've said them out loud, and then when I've said them out loud to my friends who are just as self-developed, if not more self-developed than I'm, they're like, "Where did that thought come from? Why are you choosing to embrace that as your truth?" And I'm like, "Guess you're right. That doesn't serve my highest self." So, um, That's why awareness is everything and surrounding yourself by the right people, so important.
Well, Lucy, let's play a
Let's
game.
do it. Where should we begin?
Where should we begin? It's just a game of stories, completely random. There's like 1,000 different combinations. Um, there's a story card, the blue card. Share something gutsy, and then this goes with the context card. Okay. Share something gutsy. What I learned about love from my parents. So they go together. So something gutsy that I learned about love from my parents.
Okay. Um, I would say that my mom is probably one of the most selfless people that I know. And she really just like pours out service wherever she goes. So I would say if there's something that she's taught me, it's really how to love selflessly, even in the difficult times. Like even when it's hard, um, just show up in this energy of selfless love. And it's crazy that bigger doors of opportunity will open before you.
Yeah. Uh, I think parents are super important, and we don't give them enough credit sometimes.
Yeah.
So my next final questions is the first question out of the last 5 questions is, what is your biggest regret?
Ooh, I really don't have a lot of regrets. To be honest with you, like I really, really don't have. I mean, like some people could say, like, oh, why did I stay in that relationship as long as I did? Because like that relationship was destructive or abusive or it didn't serve me. But at the end of the day, like if I look back on it, I stayed in the relationship because my needs were getting met at a certain level and I wasn't ready to leave. And I learned a lot about myself and about the world. And yeah, it would have been nice to leave those relationships a little bit sooner, but I don't regret not leaving them when I did because I understand who I was and where I was at that time, and I don't think I was in a position to. So, I would say really the only thing that I regret not doing is I started investing in real estate in 2015 after I quit my corporate job to sell horses full time. The only regret that I can think of is I wish that I would have leveraged the salary of my corporate job to purchase a couple more investment properties um, while I still showed that I was making X amount of income. Um, so that way I didn't have to just continue to buy everything cash from here on out.
What's a champagne problem? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's like, damn, I can't buy more goodies that will benefit me.
Champagne problem. I like that.
No, it like it's like a good problem to have, like people, but it's like the more successful you'll get, the more responsibilities you'll have, the more problems you have, but it just looks different,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
My next question is, who or what has made the biggest impact in your life that makes you who you are today?
I would say my niece. My niece Ashley has definitely had the biggest impact on my life because she is the one who showed me the movie The Secret. And so when I saw the movie The Secret, that's when I didn't realize what the law of attraction was and I didn't realize I had been living the law of attraction my entire life. But when I really like saw those principles black and white and really understood that like whoa, I can think a thought and I can have it, I can be it, I can do it, like this is so exciting, this is so empowering. Well, Ashley, we're the same age but she's my niece. She's kind of been like my ride or die she's helped me along this journey in immeasurable ways, and I'm like forever grateful for her.
For people who don't know, what is the law of attraction?
The law of attraction is one of the universal laws. It works just like gravity. So basically, whether you want to admit that it exists or that it doesn't exist, it doesn't matter. Kind of like gravity. If you pick something up and drop it, it's going to fall whether you like it or not. The law of attraction simply states that um, the law of vibration is that everything moves and everything vibrates because everything's energy. The law of attraction states that like attracts like. So what you put out, you get back. So if you are an angry person, you are going to attract angry people towards you. If you are a happy person, you're going to attract happy people towards you. You are like, if you operate in abundance mindset and you see opportunities and you feel like, and you feel limitless and you feel abundant, whatever you feel is what you are going to attract towards you. So the law of attraction is a really exciting concept because if you can learn how to become aware of your thoughts and train your thoughts and start intentionally emotionalizing the things that you want to invite into your life, you can therefore, the sky's the limit. You can create the life of your dreams.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to karma in a
Yeah.
way. Um, that's what I usually tell people. It's like you. That's basically what it is, kind of.
Karma just has a little bit more of like a negative connotation because they always say like, "Oh, karma's a bitch." You know, if you're gonna wrong somebody, then you're gonna get wrong, whatever. It's gonna come back to you. So yes, I do agree, but I feel like karma just has a little bit more of a negative connotation, where I feel like law of attraction has a little bit more of a the sky is the limit. Use your imagination, dream big, and then do the work to raise your vibration so that way you're operating at the same frequency of your desires, because any desire that you have, if it's not already in your possession, the reason why it's not in your possession is because you're not a vibrational match to it. So therefore the question then becomes, what do you need to do to become a vibrational match to your desires? And those are the tools and techniques that I teach my clients.
But I feel like there could be good karma too,
Oh
though.
yeah, there totally can. I just feel like I don't know, maybe that's just a belief that I have.
Maybe. My next question is, what is the hardest lesson you had to learn?
The hardest lesson I had to learn, I would say that I don't know if it's the hardest lesson, but I would say one of the most important lessons is that belief is everything. Belief bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to go. Because it doesn't matter if you have absolute clarity and know exactly what you want, and you have a vision that you're reading every single day. If you don't actually believe that you are worthy and that you are capable and that you deserve it, you don't have that self love and that belief, there's always going to be a vibrational discrepancy, and that thing's always going to be just out of reach. So I think like just understanding the power of belief, um, I think that was pretty huge for me.
I do want to ask you how how do we stop that? Like, how do we stop feeling like we may be on the path of belief, but it does kind of feel like an arm's reach away? How do we make it so that we're with it right now and we believe it right now?
I would say one of the things that we can do is make sure that we're in the right environments and in the right rooms, surrounded by the right people. Mindset is everything. So if you have people around you if you have people around you that are doing it as well and are achieving the same results that you want to achieve, then it all of a sudden like it becomes possible. You're like, wow, look, Sam's doing it. I can do it too. And then you kind of you And then you become friends with Sam, you're talking to Sam, and then Sam is pouring belief into you. So that's why, again, making sure that your friends are the caliber of friends that you want. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So if you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people because the conversations are going to be more intellectual, they're going to be more satisfying, they're going to be more geared toward accomplishing your goals than getting the mentor. The mentor is going to breathe belief into you. So, like, if you don't believe in yourself, like one of the quickest things you can do is get a mentor because that mentor is going to breathe belief into you and he's going to lend you're going to be able to borrow his belief or her belief. And in like the feeling of that belief and the feeling of like, wow, this person believes in me. This person knows that I can. Believe, wow, I guess I can. I know I can. So, and then a lot of it too is just doing the reps and doing the work, the meditations, the affirmations, the gratitudes to raise your vibration. And then like you start doing the things. And then when you start doing the things and experiencing these little wins, the momentum starts building. And when the momentum starts building, you start experiencing this, oh my God, like, I really can. I really can. And then you start taking bigger leaps of faith and bigger leaps of faith until the next thing you know, you're looking back and you're like, I can't believe I'm living the life of my dreams. Like, I'm so grateful that I dream big because now I'm getting to experience everything that I imagined come true.
Nah, that's so good. I just one thing I would say before my next question is when you do get stuck in these like thoughts, especially the comparison
Oh, yeah.
trap, it just goes back to the opposite effect. Like if you look at somebody, especially Instagram and these YouTubers that are like quote unquote successful in your eyes, and you think like, how can I ever do that? Think the opposite again. Like if they did it, you can do
Yeah.
it too. Like it's like it's and if you don't like feel like you have access to all these mentors or you're in a secluded area, use the internet as your mentors. Use the inspiration that you see, that you consume, the content. Use those people not as comparison traps, but that proof that it's
Yeah.
possible that you could do it too.
Totally, I totally agree. So many people will look at somebody else succeeding and they're thinking, "Oh, well, they can, but I can't." And it's like, "No, no, no. We're all connected. We're all the same. We all have the same universal power in our fingertips. We all have the power of the world. We all have the power that created worlds within us, and we can call on that power at any given time. It's all about just having that belief and that faith, that unshakable faith. And it's again like scarcity mindset or lack
Yeah.
mindset we're thinking like, oh, the world's only so big enough, and so if this person succeeded, then I can't. And it's like, no, if this person succeeded, that means that you can. So it's like flip, like you said, flipping that around and switching the perspective.
Yeah, and then you have to really ask yourself like why don't you think you can? And then be real about what it takes. Like if you really want to do that, but you think you can't because you don't want to do the
Yeah,
work or you don't find it fulfilling, like everything's going to require some sort of work, whether you're passionate about it or not. There's going to be times where you get bored and you're just going to have to show up.
yeah,
And it's just like going to the gym. Like if you want to lose weight or get fit or like you went to a couple competitions and that's crazy and awesome. But for those people that are just starting their journey, it's like literally half the battle is just showing up. And you have to accept that and be willing to show up
yeah.
regardless of how you feel sometimes.
Absolutely. And then a lot of it too is I like to always ask my clients, like, what has stopped you in the past from achieving those goals? Like, what are the habits that you have in your life right now? What are those patterns look like that are prohibiting you from experiencing the thing that you say that you want the most? Whether it's snacking or watching TV or talking to these people, whatever those habits are, identify them and then remove them from your life and then watch as the universe abhors a void. So as soon as you take something away from your life, you're allowing something bigger and better to come into it.
100%. My next question is, have a feeling what you're gonna answer, but what would you want to do in your life if you had all the time and all the money in the world?
Pretty much what I'm doing now. Which is that's kind of why I'm on the journey that I am, is that I just want to serve and give back and positively impact as many people as possible. I want to empower and inspire people to really take action on their dreams and know that they can be, do, have anything they dream of. So that's I feel very blessed to be able to be living the life and fulfilling the dream and being able to give back in a meaningful way.
Lucie Ptaznik, is there any last thing you'd like to share with the audience that would maybe resonate?
Pretty much the last thing is that put together we've put together a 16-week program that allows people to very intentionally rewire their subconscious mind, transform their identity, and take massive action towards their dreams. And we've actually condensed this into about an hour and a half training, and people can download this training for free. And they can start implementing these things immediately into their lives, and they can start feeling and experiencing the difference immediately. So all they have to do is go to ultimatesuccessblueprint.com slash unwritten, and they can go ahead and download that.
Wait, really? It's slash unwritten?
Yeah. So it's
That's
for
cool.
all of your audience. Normally it's $1,000 for the training, but if they go to ultimatesuccessblueprint.com/unwritten, then they will be able to download the training for free. And like I said, start implementing this. And it goes over all three of our pillars, which are energy or state, which is we talked about how important it is to control your state. Then it talks about desire and how you have to get absolute clarity around what you want. Talk about like how to create a vision and the five different realms of a vision. We talk about imagination and intention setting. And then the third pillar is belief and really rewiring slash like upgrading that software, though that are what is our identity and how is it holding us back? How can we transform our identity to show up as the best version of ourselves mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually? So yeah.
Go check it out. And where can people follow you
Um,
if you want to be?
yeah, if they want to go, like I said, the ultimatesuccessblueprint.com or LucyLynn.com is the website. Or if they go to Instagram,
Social
yeah, if
media
they go
or
to
no?
social media, they can find me on social media. We've got a really, really cool Facebook group. It's called Transformation Nation. And every single day, we're putting out really great content on how people can start really making differences in their lives. And every Friday at 10:30 Eastern, I go live and I do a free guided meditation for everybody, and we leave the recordings up. So if people want to listen to an abundance meditation or gratitude meditation, they can go back and listen to them. And some of them are 10, 15 minutes. We've got a couple of ones that are a little bit longer. Um, but yeah, that's just like my our way to give back and create a community and inspire others by just positive change in the world.
Lucie Ptaznik, everybody, go check her out. I'm so grateful to have had you on. You're you're a light that may be shining and may help guide people that are in the dark. So
And
thank
thank
you.
you so much, Thomas. I'm so grateful that we had this time together. I had an amazing time. And I'm excited for our next podcast where you'll get to ask all the rest of the questions that we didn't get to cover today.
Yeah, for real. So go check her out, everybody. And Don't forget to share, subscribe, whatever. And as always, stay curious, keep going. You got this. Peace.